All right, so I am at Iowa in the Xfinity series here. Let's see if I can lay down a decent lap, then talk about the setup. A lot of things to talk about at Iowa, so I'm going to try to lay down a lap. If I can get a decent lap, then I will probably more or less park the car, or I'll show you some things about the line I use, but then I'm going to park the car and talk about some things related to Iowa here. That was a 23.302. I think that is pretty respectable for Iowa. I have hit a 23.284, but I think 23.302 is pretty respectable. I'm not going to complain about that at all. I looked at the leaderboards, and I know the game's only been out about a week, and I found out that I think 23.280 even is the fastest lap that's been posted at Iowa in the Xfinity series. So I will take a 23.284, which is I think only 4 1,000ths off the fastest time. Yeah, I think I'm starting to slow down just a little bit now, maybe, I don't know. That's going too wide, that's not going to work. Give this one more lap to see if I can get in the 23.2s, but if not, we will take 23.3 and I will start talking about things. Yeah, that was a bad one. Okay, let's start talking about this. I've ran a 23.284. That lap I put up was a 23.3. Let me get down here. I've already got past all the marks in turn 1 and 2. Let's get down here and talk about 3 and 4. Iowa is a track where, as I say, it's not about how deep you drive in, but it's about how early you get back in the gas. And what I am trying to do is you start your turn fairly early, and there is a white line up here, this line right here. I am out of the gas just before I get to it, so I am probably out of the gas, I don't know, somewhere in about here on the track, and you're arcing your way into the corner, so you're going to start off kind of up high, work your way down. Now there are markers on the bottom of the track here that help you get into pit road. There's white lines, thick lines. I'm coming up on them. There is 3, then there's 2 of them as you get closer to pit road, then 1. I think they're markers to help you with pit road. To make a fast lap, you need to be back in the throttle well before you get to that. Probably about in this range is when you need to be getting back in the throttle, and you need to be very low. So to get back in the throttle this early, you got to get out of the throttle kind of early. So that is turn 3. Turn 4 is really about staying low. If you are down next to this yellow line, clear all the way to where it breaks off and ends so you can go into pit road. If you're down here and you're hard in the gas from back before the last marker I showed you, that helps you get a good line or good time. Turn 1 I think is much harder. It's a very wide arc, it's a sweeping turn, and you have to hit the arc just right. If you arc it not enough, you're going to be too wide. If you arc it too much, you're going to be down on the apron. It seems like I am letting off that white paint on the inside there, that's the American ethanol sign. Someplace shortly after I get past that, I am starting to get out of the gas, and then I am letting the car drift down to the bottom. And similar concept, you want to be clear down at the yellow line by the time you get to here. About the end of the pit road wall is where I am getting back in the throttle. And then again, same concept, you want to stay low, kind of clear through the exit of the corner right around that yellow line, and then down the back stretch hard. Things about this setup that you will need to know. One is it is geared very low gear, so you are going to be hitting the rev limiter at the end of the front straightaway. Two is you're going to be cussing the first couple of laps, or actually the first part of the fuel run. It feels very, very tight. That's what you need at Iowa, because what happens is as you burn through the tires and the fuel, it gets very loose. It wants to the back end of the car, always wants to swing out. That's what you're fighting at Iowa. This is something that's going to be very consistent throughout the run. It's not going to get real loose on you at the end, but it starts off tight. But you need that to be able to have a car that's going to be consistent throughout the run. Last thing is, with the gearing the way it is, I don't think you're going to get a full fuel run out of it. It says, I think 36 laps is what you have when you start running, or maybe a little more. You're probably going to get a couple of laps less, or at least one lap less than whatever it says as fuel when you're full. So with that being said, let's go and talk about the setup itself. What to talk about in the setup here? I am up on the left bump and up on the left rebound and up on the right rebound. Those are adjustments I make to specifically get a car to turn in a given part of the corner or tighten it up in a given part of the corner. But I use those to fine-tune stuff to say if I am loose in one part of the corner, be the exit, entry, or middle, but I am fine in the rest of it. Those are the things that I use to help deal with something that's just a specific part of the corner. Front weight and wedge are about where I usually run them in a lot of my setups, and again, I think that helps make the car easier to adjust, and having a lower front weight definitely helps save the tires. Not a lot to say on the springs. I did find a lot of speed, it seems like, when I bumped the tire pressures up, and I bumped them up proportionately. They start off at like 12 and 30, and I bumped them up proportionally to about 35 and 14, and found that really helped the speed. The Camber, you do not have to really worry about the front tire wear as much as the rear tire wear, so I was pretty aggressive on the Camber settings. The track bar, I've got them set even. The right track bar is kind of low because that keeps you from getting loose coming off. The left track bar is kind of high because that helps loosen the car up and makes it turn in a little bit easier. And then the rear end ratio, you can try a 4.11. I like the 4.22 because that lower gear gives me more drive off the corner, which is what you need to set good lap times. The trade-off is you're not going to get as good a fuel mileage. Whatever the setting is on the fuel when you're full of fuel, you'll probably get a couple of laps less, or at least one lap less. But I think that is worth it to get the drive off the corner. I ran it, didn't really have a problem with the tire wear too bad. You might be, with a lap to go, you might need to pit, but the tires pretty much last, and the car was pretty consistent. It started off tight. It got a little loose by the very, very, very end, but it wasn't undrivable. But anyway, that is the Iowa setup. I ran a 23.284 with it. I think right now the fastest lap of all time, and I know the game's only been out a few days, is a 23.28. So I'm pretty happy with that setup, or with this setup and that lap time, and I'm more happy about the fact that it is a stable setup that you can get a full fuel run out of. You could no doubt get a faster lap if you loosen the car up a little bit, but you would not be happy by the time you got to the end of a fuel run, because you would be sliding all over the place, because every time you touch the throttle, the car would want to get sideways on you. So it's a balancing act. This is a balance I'm happy with. Hope you like the setup. Let me know if any questions you have in the comments or other tracks you'd like to see. Thank you guys so much for watching, and do me a huge favor and like and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a tremendous amount to me. So thanks again.